Have you ever been on a roll, like absolutely crushing it towards a goal, only to suddenly trip yourself up? Maybe you were finally sticking to that workout routine, or saving money like a pro, or even just keeping your desk clean for once in your life. And then, out of nowhere, you do something that completely derails your progress. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? Are we just wired to be our own worst enemies? So let's look at the fascinating, frustrating, and surprisingly relatable world of self-sabotage. We'll explore why we do it, what's going on in our brains when it happens, and, most importantly, how to stop it. Spoiler alert, it's not just about willpower, because if it were, we'd all be perfect by now, right? So let's start with the basics. Self-sabotage is when you actively or passively hinder your own success. It's like having a tiny mischievous gremlin living in your brain whose sole purpose is to throw wrenches into the machinery of your life. And no, you can't evict it, sorry. But here's the thing, self-sabotage isn't just about being lazy or undisciplined. It's way more complicated than that. In fact, it's so common that it's practically a hidden epidemic. We all do it, whether it's procrastinating on an important project, binge watching Netflix instead of studying, or eating an entire pizza when you're trying to eat healthier. No judgment from me, pizza is delicious. So, if you've ever felt like you're the only one who can't get out of your own way, let me reassure you, you're not alone. And the reasons we self-sabotage, well, they're actually pretty fascinating. One of the biggest culprits behind self-sabotage is fear. And not just fear of failure, though that's a big one, but also fear of success. Yeah, you heard that right. Sometimes we're so afraid of what success might bring, more responsibility, higher expectations, or even just the unknown, that we subconsciously hold ourselves back. Think about it. Have you ever avoided going all in on a goal because you were worried about what might happen if you actually achieved it? Maybe you've seen those stories about lottery winners who end up broke, or celebrities who can't handle fame. Success can be scary, and our brains are really good at convincing us to stay in our comfort zones. Tony Robbins talks about this in his book Awaken the Giant Within, and Morgan Housel touches on it in The Psychology of Money. They both point out that fear, whether it's fear of failure, fear of judgment, or just fear of change, can lead us to make choices that sabotage our own progress. It's like a self-protection mechanism, but instead of protecting us, it just keeps us stuck. Now, let's talk about biology, because believe it or not, part of the reason we self-sabotage is because our brains are still stuck in caveman mode. Yes, even in 2025, we're basically cavemen with smartphones. Let that sink in. Back in the day, our ancestors had to prioritize immediate needs, like finding food and avoiding saber-toothed tigers to survive. This meant focusing on instant gratification, which was super helpful when you were living in a cave and didn't know where your next meal was coming from. But fast forward a few million years, and we're still wired for those quick dopamine hits. But instead of hunting and gathering, we're scrolling through TikTok, binging on junk food, and procrastinating on our goals. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits, explaining how our brains haven't quite caught up to the modern world of endless distractions and temptations. It's like our biology is playing tricks on us, making us crave things that just aren't good for us in the long run. So if you've ever felt like you're fighting against your own brain, you're not wrong. But the good news is, there are ways to outsmart it. Okay, so we've established that self-sabotage is a mix of fear, biology, and maybe a little bit of that mischievous brain gremlin we talked about earlier. But how do we actually stop it? Let's break it down. The first step is to reprogram your brain to work for you, not against you. Tony Robbins calls this neuroassociative conditioning, which is just a fancy way of saying that you can train your brain to associate pleasure with good habits and pain with bad habits. For example, if you want to start exercising, reward yourself with something you enjoy afterward, like a smoothie, a hot shower, or an episode of your favorite show. On the flip side, if you want to stop mindlessly scrolling on your phone, make it less enjoyable. Delete the apps, use a website blocker, or even set your phone to grayscale mode. Trust me, Instagram is way less fun in black and white. Another strategy from Atomic Habits is to make good habits as easy as possible and bad habits as hard as possible. Want to eat healthier? Prep your meals in advance and keep healthy snacks front and center in your fridge. Want to stop eating junk food? Don't buy it in the first place. Out of sight, out of mind. The same goes for breaking bad habits. If you want to cut back on social media, delete the apps from your phone or set up hurdles, like having to log in on a desktop computer. The more effort it takes to indulge in a bad habit, the less likely you are to do it. Here's the thing. No matter how hard you try, you're going to slip up sometimes. And that's okay. The key is to reframe those setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as failures. Carol Dweck talks about this in Mindset, explaining how a growth mindset can help us bounce back from challenges. Instead of beating yourself up for messing up, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Change is hard, but one of the best ways to build momentum is to focus on small wins. Maxwell Maltz in Psycho-Cybernetics talks about creating a rhythm of success by consistently achieving small goals. It's like those don't break the chain calendars where you mark off each day you stick to a habit. Seeing that chain grow can be incredibly motivating. So instead of overwhelming yourself with a big daunting goal, break it down into smaller, manageable steps. And don't forget to celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Yes, even if it's just drinking one extra glass of water today, progress is progress. Finally, let's talk about purpose. Simon Sinek in Start With Why argues that understanding your why is essential for achieving lasting change. Your why is your core motivation, the thing that drives you to keep going, even when it's hard. For example, if your goal is to get healthier, your why might be to have more energy to play with your kids, or to feel more confident in your own skin. Whatever it is, make sure it's something that truly matters to you, because when your actions align with your values, self-sabotage becomes less about personal weakness and more about being a signal that something is out of sync. So there you have it, the why behind self-sabotage and what to do about it. We've learned that self-sabotage is a mix of fear, biology, and maybe a little bit of caveman brain. But we've also learned that we're not stuck with it. With ironic tools like rewiring your brain, embracing setbacks, and focusing on your why, you can break free of those self-sabotaging patterns and create a life that's aligned with your goals. It's not easy, and it's definitely not a straight line. But with self-awareness, persistence, and maybe a little bit of humor, you can outsmart that brain gremlin and start moving forward. So, what's one small step that you can take today to address your biggest self-sabotage pattern? Whatever it is, start there, because every little bit counts. And remember, self-mastery is a journey, not a destination. So keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to laugh along the way. Thank you for watching, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little bit of help battling their own brain gremlins. And let us know in the comments, what's your biggest self-sabotage struggle and how are you planning to tackle it? We'd love to hear from you.